Hello everybody. In this video we will be predicting the 2024 presidential election between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. So we'll get started by filling in the safe states for Joe Biden, the states that he's going to win by over 10 points at least. That will consist of the West Coast, Hawaii, Illinois, New York, lots of this New England region. Be safe for Biden, so will Maine's 1st congressional district along with Colorado. And for Donald Trump, he's going to win several of these states. In this area, so lots of rural states. He's also going to expand his safe state territory. He's going to, for Iowa, we'll see him win it by over 10 points at least, because 2020 he was real close of winning it by over 10 points, and as we saw in the midterms, this state has been trending to the right in the past few years. It's no longer a swing state, and the same goes for Ohio. The governor there won by over 62% there, for example. Just shows how much Iowa and Ohio have trended to the right in the past few years, so those will be over 10. And for Florida, we'll see that one also go over 10. As you could see here, the midterms, Marco Rubio did a lot better than he did in 2016. Won this by safe margin, flipping Miami-Dade County and several of these other counties that Trump lost in 2020. And the governor's even better performance here. So yeah, we'll see Florida. We'll see that state go over 10 points. And now we'll go to likely states for Joe Biden. For Joe Biden, he's going to win New Mexico by a likely margin. We'll see that dip under 10 points. In 2020, Biden won it by just over 10 points, but we're gonna see that he's slightly does worse this time around, because there'll be some third-party effect to it, and the Hispanics will trend slightly to the right. It's not exactly the same as in Florida, but they'll trend somewhat to the right. And then in the state, Virginia, that's also going to be a likely Democrat state. Joe Biden won that by just over 10 points in 2020. A lot of it is because of these DC suburbs in Northern Virginia. They have trended a lot to the left, and they're growing in population. But in 2021, Glenn Youngkin was able to achieve victory for the governor's race, which shows that competent Republicans, Virginia can still go red, but on the presidential level, we're not going to see that happen. It's going to dip just under 10 points this time. Then in the state of New Hampshire, we'll also see that go likely Democrat in 2020. In 2016, the state was relatively close, but in 2020, we saw it start to trend away from Republicans, and we're continuing to see it hold that trend towards Democrats. So in this cycle, we will see it stay a likely margin for Joe Biden. I mean, I do believe Alaska will be a safe Republican, even with ranked choice voting. It's going to stay safe Republican this time. And so will Maine's 2nd district. It almost went over 10. It was a likely margin last time, but the rural areas here are going to hold strong and trend to the right some for Donald Trump. And Maine at large will be likely Democrat. In 2020, it was close of going to a safe margin, but the state overall has remained very stagnant, this rural state, so not much change going on there. And yeah, Nebraska at large is safe. We're going to go to likely Republican states. That will be Texas. As we saw in 2016, Hillary Clinton was able to narrow the margin just under 10 points, and then 2020, State continued to drift towards the Democrats, mainly because of the Dallas area and the Austin area, lots of those urban areas. However, the border of Texas, we saw hard trends to the right due to Hispanics, and I believe in 2024, this cycle, we will see that these trends will continue, and the urban areas might trend a little bit more to the left, but not too much this cycle. So instead of a 5 point win, we'll likely see it about a 7 point win for Donald Trump in the state of Texas. And then let's go to lean Democrat states. We'll start off with Nebraska's second district. That's going to go leans for Joe Biden. As we saw in 2020, Joe Biden was able to flip this district blue and he won it by a likely margin. It's because this Omaha region is just trending hard to the left. It's suburban, and Donald Trump does not do too well with suburban areas. So, and they redistricted it a little bit to make it more Republican friendly, but we'll still see it go for Biden by a lean margin in 2024. And also in the state of Minnesota, we'll see that. We'll see it dip from a lean Democrat instead of a likely Democrat. That is because in 2016, the state got pretty close. Because there's a lot of third party votes that the Democrats were voting third party. And in 2020, there wasn't many options for that. So the Democrats voted for Joe Biden there. And Minneapolis area trended to the left pretty hard in 2020. And now that we have third parties, more third party choices, we'll see the state narrow up some, but it'll still be a lean Democrat state. And lean Republican state, we'll start off with North Carolina, 16 electoral votes. Can project it will go to Donald Trump. He won the state in 2020 pretty narrowly. And then in 2022, we saw that the eastern part of North Carolina has trended quite significantly to the right as compared to a couple urban areas in the state. Those are growing in population. They have trended quite to the left in 2020, but 2022 they seem to remain stagnant. So, with this being said, we'll see North Carolina go from like 1 point to maybe 3 points in 2024. And in the state of Georgia, I also see this going to be a lean Republican state because 2020, the Atlanta suburbs, they trended quite hard to the left due to black turnout being very high in Atlanta and the suburbs of it. This time around, we're not going to see that high turnout anymore, which is going to make the state become closer. Now we're going to do the tilt states for either way. We'll start off with Arizona. I believe this is going to be a tilt Democrat state. 2020, Joe Biden was able to flip the state. Last time it went blue was in 1996 for Bill Clinton. Joe Biden managed to flip it back to Democrat in 2020. And then in 2022, the Republicans did horribly. So in the Senate, Mark Kelly almost beat Blake Masters by almost 5 points. And in the governor's race, it should have been an easy win for Kerry Lake, but instead, Katie Hobbs still won. So we'll see this state continue to be blue in 2024. See it go to Joe Biden. And then tilt Republicans, we'll go to Nevada. We'll see that go tilt for Donald Trump. In 2020, the state was kind of close, but instead, Joe Biden still won it by almost 3 points. But as we saw in Clark County, it's been trending to the right. And in the 2022 midterms, the Democrats almost lost their Senate seat, but they still managed to hold on by less than a percentage point. And in the governor's race, the Republican was able to win there. So we see the state is trending to the right. And I believe Donald Trump is going to narrowly flip that into his column. And in the state of Wisconsin, I also see that going to be going to Trump by under a percentage point. 2016, it narrowly flipped to Trump due to the third party, and then in 2020, it flipped barely back to Joe Biden, but it was the closest out of these three Rust Belt states. So I believe with the Milwaukee area, the Milwaukee turnout won't be quite as high this time around. Gonna dip some, and the rural areas are gonna go hard. They're gonna still have their pretty strong turnout. So we'll see this state narrowly flip to Donald Trump. And in the state of Michigan, 2020, this was the least close out of the states. Joe Biden won this one by the most. As we see, the uncommitted vote, for example, in the Democrat primary was quite high. It was over 10%. So Democrats there are not very satisfied with Joe Biden, the way he's handling with certain things, such as the Israel and Hamas war. These people are not happy with it, with the way he's handling it. And also we have the auto industry. They are not liking the way Joe Biden is handling with that. So we will see Democrat turnout go down in this state, and I believe it will narrowly flip to Donald Trump by November. And in the state of Pennsylvania, it's also one of the Rust Belt states. Flipped in 2016 to Republican, 2020 back to Joe Biden. And this time, it's going to be a really close one here, but there's not as much going on here as these other two states. Joe Biden leading in some polls, Donald Trump is leading most of them. However, as of now, see, in 2022, Republicans did awful there, and I haven't seen much change in the state overall. So, as of now, I still think Joe Biden is going to narrowly win this state. So, thank you guys for watching. Comment down if you have any agreements, disagreements.